when I threw a few of these in. There's some airplane pictures and stuff. This was my four-seater Aronca sedan when I used to live in that house down the end of the street here. So I used to park it right in front of the house. I'd taxi around behind the house, take off in the pasture. There's my Champ.
And what do you have in the yard here, Dad?
That's the Champ.
Oh, is that this one?
No.
Oh.
Mike bought me this one. This one I bought in Esterhazy in 1980 or so. This Champ, I flew it out of Esterhazy from exactly the same spot 40 years later. My Eagle Mirage B hang glider. We were out west of Calgary in the mountains.
Who's that?
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
What year was that, Dad?
Oh God. I don't know. It's in the 70s. I don't know if it'd be mid 70s. I don't know.
You had quite the head of hair.
Oh, yeah, I'm awesome. Mike's plane. That's his Mike's 185.
I should put my glasses
But he
on.
doesn't have it anymore, does he?
Not this one, no.
No.
Gone through. There's the Champ. There's a picture when I flew the Champ home. That's the one that's sitting outside here now.
Oh, I see.
So I flew it home from Esterhazy.
That was a hell of a thing.
Oh, jeez. That was a story that should be recorded. Oh, you're recording?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, Mike had bought me this airplane, and him and I went fishing up north. And we had a great time. We get back home to Esterhazy, and we made the call that I'm going to fly this airplane home to Anglia here. So I'd never flown this plane before. And it's a Model 7 EC, which is different than the one I had. Mine was a 7 AC. Mine had less power and all kinds of things, but this one's way heavier. Anyway, we had it full of frozen fish fillets. The back seat was full, suitcases and fish and shit. And I jumped in this plane and took it down to the end of the runway and did the run-up, and then took off, headed for Rosetown. Well, as I'm flying along, I had to stop halfway and land in a field. Oh, I had 2 bales of gas in the back, too. I had to stop in the field and dump some more gas into it. Take off again, and the wind was picking up big time, eh? I had a GPS. The airspeed, this thing flew at 105 mile an hour airspeed. Which means and if there's no wind, you're traveling over the ground at 105. But if you're doing 105 this way and there's a 100 mile an hour wind in your nose, you're only covering the ground at 5 miles an hour. You understand? But the airspeed indicator will say 105, but you're only actually doing 5 over the ground. So I'm looking at the GPS, and I'm looking at my airspeed indicator. It's saying 105. GPS is saying 80, and then 70, and then 76, and then 50, and I'm going, oh, this is a hell of a wind. You know how fast the wind is when you see this difference. Well, I got to Rosetown, and I couldn't land at Rosetown. It was a crosswind. I couldn't land at the airstrip in Rosetown. I didn't want to anyway. I wanted to fly out here because you can't touch down with a crosswind that strong. And I got as far as the Gulf course, which is halfway between Anglia and Rosetown. I can't handle this plane. I can't hang on to it. It was here bucking, like this. So there was some big hills like this out there. So I've set this plane down, and I'm fighting the controls, and I got the throttle going here. The wheels touch down, and I pull the throttle back, but then the wind blows the plane up in the air 50 feet. I have to goose it and throttle to keep from stalling, and if it stalled, it would have spun over and, goose the plane, fight the controls, come on down, and then try to find my phone. I had a cell phone then because I was teaching SIAS, and try to phone for help because I can't handle this plane. If you shut the engine off, the wind would have just blown it right over backwards, and So I had to keep goosing the engine and fighting with the controls, and then phone Tanya at the same time. Somehow she found me out there, and then the local farmer, his daughter spotted me, so he come out with a half ton, and I can't get out of the plane to tell him what's happening. I have to yell through the door while I'm fighting the controls, and we ended up him hooking on to the tail end of the airplane with his half ton with a chain, and then I shut the plane off quick, jump out. Tanya's on one wing strut, and I'm on the other, and lift us both right off the ground. It was so powerful, the wind.
That was so
It was scary as hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, we towed the thing back into his yard into the trees and got it tied down amongst the trees and we managed to save it, you know. Then we went out the next day and I started her up and flew it out of there. Wow. That's twice that's happened in my life.
Wow.
They say that flying is nothing more than hours and hours of boredom coupled with moments of sheer terror. And that's exactly what it is. You know? This plane really handled well. It flew really well.